Growing up, I had dreams and aspirations, but always felt like the kid that didn't fit in. For the most part, I wasn't a bad kid, but when I made the transition into adulthood, I turned to the streets for guidance. This led to getting locked up in juvenile hall, doing time in CYA, and eventually a 120-month sentence in federal prison. I had a lot of time to think and reflect during my federal sentence, so I share with you what I learned, hoping I can positively influence someone else's life with Prison Talk. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share the channel. Go to BigHurk916.com, pick up some merch, hat, t-shirt, bar, soap, represent, and subscribe to the website so that way you can catch up on our email blast when we have a new drop and when we do these men's panels. We got the next men's panel coming up on July 30th, 1 p.m. Pacific time. It'll be private Zoom only. So if you're interested, shoot an email at info.bigherc916.com so that you can participate. We ain't gonna deal with no bullshit. There's not gonna be any trolling, any disrespect, and we ain't gotta worry about the censorship. We're talking about elevation of self, consciousness, and building relationships. So look forward to seeing you there. This is an interesting case right here I want to share with you guys. And I always tell you there's no statute of limitation on murder. And sometimes the person who is involved in these murders lives right next door to you and you don't even know it. Looks like the normal everyday person, but they have a deep, dark secret that they're hiding. NY architect charged with 3 deaths linked to serial killer. So in Long Island, there's an architect. He had been charged with the murder and the deaths of 3 of the 11 victims in a long unsolved string of killings known as the Gilgo Beach murders. Rex Heuermann, 59, has lived for decades across the bay from where the remains were found. He's charged with first and second degree murder in connection with the deaths of 3 victims, Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, Amber Costello. Authorities say he is also the prime suspect in another killing. Heuermann was taken into custody in Massapequa late Thursday, near where investigators were seen searching his home Friday. He is expected to be arraigned Friday afternoon in state court in Riverhead. A message seeking comment was left with his lawyer. Voice and email messages were left at Heuermann's Manhattan office and at possible numbers for his home and family. So this guy, architect, they were able to tie him in eventually through burner cell phones, communicating with these women, and also his searches on the internet. Apparently, the women who had gone missing, who were murdered, he had been Googling, searching these women on the internet as far as their family members and following the investigation. So there's a lot of things pointing to why he was so concerned with all these different women who went missing, who were murdered, and their whereabouts and the stats of their investigation. And another thing they were saying was that the last communications were tied to burner phones associated with each of the women that were murdered. And he had apparently had different burner phones for each woman who was found murdered. Suffolk County prosecutors are asking that Heuermann be held without bail, citing the heinous nature of these serial murders, as well as recent searches he made for sadistic materials, including sexually exploitive images of children and photos of the victims and their relatives. This is a day that is a long time in coming, and hopefully a day that will bring peace to this community and to the families, peace that has been long overdue, New York Governor Kathy Hochul said during an unrelated appearance on Long Island. News of the arrest came as a shock to some of the relatives after so many years waiting for a break in the case. And a text message, sister of one of the victims said her family wasn't ready to speak publicly because they really haven't had a chance to process the news today. Huerman lives in Massapequa Park, a community just north of South Oyster Bay and sandy stretch known as Gilgo Beach, where skeletal remains were found along a remote oceanfront highway in 2010 and 2011. The deaths have long stumped investigators. Most of the victims were young women who had been sex workers. The case has drawn immense public attention. The mystery attracted national headlines for many years, and unsolved killings were the subject of a 2020 Netflix film, Lost Girls. Determining who killed them and why has vexed a slew of seasoned homicide detectives through several changes in police leadership. Last year, an interagency agency task force was formed with investigators from FBI as well as state and local police departments aimed at solving the case. Law enforcement personnel converged on the small red house that had been raided earlier Friday in the suburb about 40 miles east of Midtown Manhattan. Dozens of residents mingled alongside police and media watching as half a dozen investigators and protective suits conferred outside the front porch, which was in despair. Its roof popped up by 2x4s. The house belonged to a family that had long kept to themselves, neighbors said, noting that the dilapidated property seemed out of place among the row of single-family homes, well-kept lawns, and a small community. This house sticks out like a sore thumb. There were overgrown shrubs. There was always wood in the front of the house, says Gabriel Labardi, a 24-year-old teacher. It was very creepy. It wouldn't send my child there. Barry Oslander, another neighbor, said the man who lived in the house commuted by train to New York each morning wearing a suit and tie and carrying a briefcase. It was weird. He looked like a businessman, said Oslander, but his house is a dump. Huerman, married with 2 children, is a licensed architect with a small Manhattan-based firm that, according to its website, has done store build-outs and other renovations for major retailers, offices, and apartments. Last year, law enforcement agencies on Long Island formed a Gilgo Beach task force, showing that Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harris said was a renewed commitment to solving the killings. So I guess with technology and stuff, man, they were able to find DNA, hair samples that this guy had left at some of the crime scenes, because hair, it has a tendency to stay around for a long time. And with a lot of these genealogy, ancestral things that people submit DNA, they can track a lot of these individuals back to the scenes of these crimes. We're happy to see that we're finally active, the police, in accomplishing something. Let's wait and see what it all leads to, said John Ray, the attorney for the families of the 2 of the women whose remains were found, Shannon Gilbert and Jessica Taylor. It said Gilbert's disappearance in 2010 triggered the hunt that exposed a larger mystery. A 24-year-old sex worker, she vanished after leaving a client's house on the foot in the seafront community of Oak Beach, disappearing into the marsh. Months later, a police officer and his cadaver dog were looking for her body in the thicket along nearby Ocean Parkway when they happened upon the remains of a different woman. Within 3 days, 3 other bodies were found, all within a short walk of one another. By spring 2011, the number had climbed to 10 sets of human remains, those of 8 women, 1 man, 1 toddler. Some were later linked to dismembered body parts found elsewhere on Long Island, making a puzzling crime scene that stretched from a park near the New York City limits to a resort community on Fire Island and out to far eastern Long Island. It says, in talking about the bodies near Gilgo Beach, investigators have said several times over the years that it's unlikely one person killed all the victims. So, they're keeping us under wraps. There's a lot of things I'm quite sure they have that they're not exposing yet in regards to what is tying this individual to the murders, but just somebody living in the neighborhood, family, wife, kids, it's like, wow, man, you got to always pay attention to your surroundings. I always tell you guys, there's certain things about certain people, you know. I was in California over the weekend, and I was observing people when I was in Hollywood filming. And I seen some guys walk by. And you know, it's funny now, when I look at certain people, I can feel an energy. And I seen two guys, and it was almost like they were walking, but they were possessed. Like they had a certain vibe about them. And I told my partner, I said, I can guarantee you they're going to get into some shit today. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's not going to be good. And there were multiple people like that. Like I could see like their energy was just off. And the more you in tune with what's around you, the better you can prepare yourself to not get caught up or be a victim. No, you know, you never want to be a victim, man. You always want to be preventive in those situations. But you know, at least, you know, hopefully these families can find some resolve, and this can come to an end for a lot of people who are maybe living in uncertainty or fear in this area. Hit that like button, subscribe again. Big Herc 916. Lacing you up, man. Always have your head on the swivel.
Lockdown's over. Get your yard time in. Exclusively at FreshOutSeries.com.
Hello, my name is Big Herc 916, and I'm from the Wash Your Ass Committee, and I'm here to help you clean your booty hole. So I have some scents here that I would like to share with you. I have Festival, I have Butt Naked Scrub, I have some Oatmeal Milk and Honey, I have Jamaican Me Crazy, Festival. You can take a pick from one of these scents and wash your ass, make your body feel better about itself, get rid of the funk. And I would like to make sure I can give you a good deal, so let me know. Go to FreshOutSeries.com, pick you up a bar, and please wash your ass.